Turn off the news for just 1 week. You'll be amazed at what happens when you do. Let me explain why. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Hugh Matthias. Thanks for joining me again. In this video I want to talk about our capacity of sovereign discernment, because I believe that there's never been a more important time for us to be using it with everything that's going on in the world today. So I'm going to be exploring how we use it, how we withdraw our attention from the external, how we come back to ourselves, how we go within. I think this is a very important thing for us to be talking about in this moment. And just before I get into the video, I do live near a train station, and it's very hot here in Spain at the moment, so I've got the windows open, so if there is train noise, I apologise in advance. I will pause for a few seconds whilst that noise clears. But anyway, let's get into the topic that I want to explore. So I wanted to make this video because there's a lot of, obviously, chaos and uncertainty happening in the world right now. You know, not least among these is the prospect of another world war, World War III, with everything that's happening in the Middle East and all of the tactics and aggression playing out from both sides at the moment. We can only hope it doesn't escalate into something more serious, but you know, that is happening right now in the external, in our reality. We're all seeing it and hearing about it. But it could be just one of the potential things that we may experience in the coming weeks and months. This is a very big year. There is lots of, on an astrological level, there's a lot of huge alignments and transits happening and conjunctions with the planets. Some of them haven't been seen in 6,000 years, so you know, pretty major. So the other things that I spoke about, what we could also be seeing in the coming months, but hopefully not, you know, what this chaos may look like, could take the form of an economic collapse, power outages, cyber attacks, possibly even a staged alien invasion. I know that sounds crazy, but it is one potential outcome, I believe, with all of the information now in the mainstream news about disclosure, and in Hollywood, Steven Spielberg's recent movie, Disclosure Day, being released. It's all part of a planned rollout of information, I think. So I don't want to scaremonger. I am just saying that these are potential timelines. They could be things that play out, but there are many, many, many different timelines. There are many different possibilities here, and it comes down to our consciousness, what we individually and collectively are choosing to create through our focus, through our attention. That is far, far more powerful than many of us realize. And as a planetary civilization, I believe whatever timeline we experience is what 8 billion of us are focusing on, that will determine, you know, what we see manifesting. So I wanted to make this video as a reminder how we can collectively and individually choose the kind of world that we want to experience, that we want to see unfold in the coming weeks, months, years, because this is a singular moment in our history. There's never been a moment like this before, and I think it's more important than ever that we realize and remember how powerful we are in our ability, like I said, to create reality. So how do we do that? Well, there's a few key, fundamental, foundational, very powerful actions that we can take to begin that process of creating the reality we want, and I'm going to go through them in this video. So I've made some notes. I'm just going to be referring to those as well as we go. So the first one, very simple, very powerful: turn off the damn news. The reason I say this is its main job, the mainstream media, its main job is to pull you out of your center and to keep your focus, your attention fixated on the external, what's happening in the external world. That's one of its prime reasons for what it does. And of course, like so many of us have long realized that the mainstream news media is broadcasting negativity and fear 24/7, never stops. What I call fear porn, and it's designed to keep the public in this low-grade anxiety, worry, fear, depression, sense of hopelessness, helplessness. What can I do? What can I do to change the world? Well, if everyone thinks that, then they've got you. So it's really time for us to start realizing that in the act of taking back our focus, our attention, we reclaim our power to create. So the powerful and the ultra wealthy sociopathic interests really that control the mainstream media, it's in their interest to have you in this state of fear and worry and anxiety. Why? Because if you're distracted, overwhelmed, and in that kind of state of fear, then you're easier to control, you're far easier to manipulate. And this comes down to how fear shuts down critical thinking. When was the last time we saw this? Let's go back 5 years. During obviously 2020, everything that was happening then, the fear propaganda coming from the media was unprecedented. And it's easy to remember how many of us lost the plot, how many times we witnessed a complete abandoning of critical thinking and common sense. I remember that time all too well, and as many of you do, obviously, not that we want to, because it was obviously a very challenging time, but it woke a lot of people up to what was happening. So these powerful, wealthy interests, by getting you to focus on negative outcomes, on fear, doom, worry, doom and gloom. They are harnessing your consciousness in the way that they want to create a world that is not in your best interest. So that tells you how powerful it is, what a powerful resource it is. I've spoken about this in one of my other videos, how powerful your consciousness is, what it's truly worth. So if you haven't watched that one, go check it out. I talk about this in more detail. So what's the most radical and powerful thing you can do here? Is take your power back, take your attention back, withdraw from never-ending news cycles of doom and gloom and worry and anxiety and fear. Switch it off. Step back. So that brings me to point 2. If you can, get out in nature. Get out into the trees, the forests, the hills, the meadows, the beaches, the country lanes, wherever and whenever you can. I know it's not easy for everyone to do that on a regular basis, but it's really important because it reconnects you to the highly coherent frequencies that exist in those places. It can recalibrate your entire being. One of the most powerful ways is by actually grounding, by putting your bare feet on the earth or the grass or the sand and reconnecting your bioenergy field to that of the planet. That is an incredibly beneficial and powerful thing to do. There is a whole area and realm of science now that has studied this subject, and there's huge evidence to show that it completely, like I said, it resets you, it clears your electromagnetic field, and it synchronizes you back to the heartbeat of the earth. This is something in our modern world that so many of us have become cut off from. So we walk around in shoes with rubber soles, a lot of the time on concrete, and there's no connection to the planet. So very simple but powerful thing to do. I myself am a fan of what they call forest bathing, and it doesn't involve swimming, but it does involve immersing yourself in the frequencies of forest, just going and sitting in a forest or a wood and breathing. And I do it as often as I can, and it is so amazing for the sense of well-being that it can give you. It is so incredibly healing. So I encourage you all to do that as much as possible. You and your loved ones, your friends, to go and do that, or by yourself. It's often wonderful to do alone. So going back to grounding, the effects are legion. I'm going to list some of them here. This is not an exhaustive list. So if you go and stand on the earth barefoot, on the planet, barefoot, nothing between you, the earth, the grass, the sand, wherever you are, what happens? Mental calm and clarity surges. Hormonal balance returns. So much of our environment is flooded with toxicity and hormone disrupting chemicals, endocrine disruptors, EMF fields from mobile phones and computers, smart meters. We are constantly bathed in a soup of discordant frequencies. And when you ground, when you get out into nature and put your feet on the earth, you are completely resetting your bioenergy field. So going back to my list, things like immunity. Your immune system is given a powerful boost. Your mood improves. Circulation improves. Sleep improves. And those damaging electromagnetic fields from our phones, our laptops, our devices, technology, wherever we are in urban environments and in our homes. There's so much of it. 5G towers. So all of that, when you go and stand on the earth barefoot, all of that is discharged into the earth. And what you draw up instead is what is known as negative ions. Now they are the healthy kind of ions. Normally in our environments, when we're experiencing EMF overload, we're flooded with positive ions, which is not a good state of being to hold for too long. So when we go and ground, all of that shoots down into the earth, and we draw up the negative ions that we need, and it rebalances our field. So I'm going to be posting some links below on these topics for you to go and do some further research if you wish. So yeah, grounding, very, very powerful thing that we can do. So number 3, one of the fundamentals as well, breathe. Come back to the breath, preferably while grounding or when you first wake up. There's this practice that I do when I first wake, before I've done anything else. I go and sit and I breathe in for a count of 4, I hold for a count of 4, and I breathe out for a count of 4, and I do that 4 times. And it just helps to give me a sense of balance, calm, clarity before my day has even begun, and then I can go into my day with more connectedness, balance, clarity, no matter what is going on in my life. It just really, really helps me. So it's something that I recommend as a practice. You can do the count of 4 in, hold for 4, count of 4 out, or 5, whatever works for you. So again, the breath, using the breath is one of the most powerful tools for resetting your consciousness, your bioenergy field. And if some of you are into breath work, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a technology. It is a technology that we have, many of us barely think about, we barely tap into. Because we live in a stressful world, so many of us are breathing shallowly all the time. We're not breathing deeply, or forgetting to breathe deeply. And this one thing can break the circuit of fear, worry, anxiety, and it can help to completely reset your body, your mind, your bioenergy field. And it's now been proven that certain types of breath work can activate the DMT pathways in the body. You can actually induce a transcendent, even divine experience through breath work, just through activating these pathways in the body. And this is one of the things that brings me back to say what an incredible piece of technology our body is. So these kind of breathwork practices can induce, states of bliss, divine experience, and something I highly recommend that you explore. This ties into my next action you can take, which is meditation. Breath and meditation, very interlinked. And again, science has shown that having a daily meditative practice can have profound effects on your well-being, your sense of calm, peace, connectedness to not only to yourself, to the planet, to the cosmos, a sense of being connected. And if it's something that you can cultivate as a daily practice, the benefits to to you are immense. And I also want to speak about, at this point, something called heart-brain coherence. So some of you will know this, but your heart has its own neuronal network. It's actually where the true intelligence in the body resides. Your brain is more of a processing unit for consciousness, a transmitter-receiver of consciousness. Your heart is connected to the universal field, and there is actually a toroidal field of energy, much in the same way that the earth has a magnetic field that expands around it in the shape of a donut or a toroid. And this field extends from our hearts about 8 feet out from our bodies. And it is the heart that knows before the brain does. This is where the true intelligence is. And if you can synchronize your heart and your brain waves, you are tapping into that universal field of consciousness. You can tap into your truest, deepest intuition. And I've actually created a meditation some years ago, but it's on SoundCloud. I'm going to post the link with the video. And in that, I guide you through the process of how to synchronize your heart and your brain so that you can run any information through that filter. Synchronize this, and then ask yourself those questions. If there's a decision you're faced with, if you want to get a deeper insight on a certain issue or matter or situation in your life, if you can run it through your heart-brain coherence matrix first, I believe you will get a far, far deeper and more valuable insight as to what action to take, what path to take, and how to understand that scenario, that subject, that situation that you have a question about. And the Heart Math Institute has done so much research on this, along with people like Greg Braden, who's written some amazing books on this. And again, I'll post those links below so you can explore this whole area of heart intelligence more deeply. And again, we're at a point in the world where we need that heart-brain coherence more than ever. It is so important right now. So, along with these things I've already mentioned, I'll move on to point 5, which is, along with a mainstream media detox, if you can, ditch your phone whenever possible. It could look like, for example, if you go for a walk, if you drive somewhere to the country and you go for a walk, either with family or friends or by yourself, if it's safe for you to do so, if it's safe for you to not be contactable for an hour or half an hour, whatever it might be, leave your phone in the car, leave it locked in the car, and just go for a walk without having that need to check your phone, check social media, check your emails, whatever it might be. And at this point, I want to bring in the work done by a very dear close friend of mine, a lady called Katie Brockhurst, who has become an expert in the realm of digital well-being, how to reclaim your attention from your phone, from your device. And she's pioneering a process called scroll, loop, notice, choose. And it's all about when we unconsciously enter into this scroll loop with our phones. We could, for example, go onto our phones to check an email, or we go into Facebook to send a message. And before we know it, we've been pulled into the feed, and we're scrolling through posts, and before you know it, half an hour's gone by, and you're like, I just came in here to just check a message or send a message or do something simple. And here I am, half an hour later, or even sometimes an hour later, and I've just been lost in the feed. So it's about becoming aware of that. And Katie's work is an amazing resource for this. I think she has a website already live, but I will check. But it's about to be published if it isn't already, and if it is, I'll post the link below. She's had works published by the UK government on this topic, and she's beginning to go into schools and other educational organisations to speak about this. So it's a very, very interesting area to watch, and I believe it's a perfect time to talk about it, because so many of us get lost with this social media addiction and struggle with it. So moving on to my next point, is the sixth point, is what I call expect the best, but plan for things potentially being chaotic for a while. What does that look like? Well, it means for perhaps a period of 3 months, planning ahead for say 3 months to have enough food, water, fuel, backup power, perhaps a generator, solar or batteries, medical supplies, first aid kits, cash. Make a list of all your most important phone numbers, because obviously a lot of us have them in our phones and we don't actually memorize them. We just have that person's name in our phone and we just speak to them, call them obviously whenever. But it's a good idea to have all your most important phone numbers either printed out as a list or written down, so that if the mobile phone networks, for example, did go down and the landline networks were still in operation, have a list of all your most important landlines. So yeah, I think that's a very, that's a very handy thing to do. So, and I know I said, we have the numbers in our mobile phones, but I didn't mean landline numbers, because obviously you can't phone a mobile if the mobile networks go down. So yeah, just use common sense, be smart, plan ahead, just cover yourselves. There are companies that do freeze-dried food, has a shelf life of like 30 years. You can, for example, order say a few boxes of that, have it set aside for your family, for you and your family, if things go a bit pear-shaped for a while. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're manifesting a world where that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying, it's smart to be aware and just to have a bit of contingency plan if things do go a bit if things do become a bit challenging for a while, if infrastructure, internet, electricity, banking systems, if they fail for a short period of time. Hopefully not a long period of time if they do, but if that happens, you know what I mean. This brings me back to point 7, my next point, final point. This brings me to my final point. Remember, the most powerful and radical thing you can do in this time in our planet's history is to reclaim your attention, your focus, your consciousness, because it is being harnessed every day by the news, by social media, by Hollywood, by whatever it might be. And all of that is designed to pull it outwards from you, so that you're not going in. So stop and take a breath. Remember how powerful you are. Reclaim your focus, reclaim your attention, go in, because that's where the true treasure is. And the ones that are controlling the world, they know that. They don't want you accessing it. So all of these things I've spoken about, just think about them. So yeah, that's the most radical thing you can do, the most powerful act that we can take at this point. And it's by going within that you will truly begin to discover the powerful divine technology that we are. A technology that has the power to create reality. Use it. Tap into it. Start today. Start right now. Because you can. Even if it's baby steps. You can take some of these steps that I've spoken about today. You can begin doing that right now. And I just wanted to say, I'm right here on this journey with you. And I appreciate you taking some of your time to be with me as I, share this knowledge that I have learnt on my journey. And I'm always learning. I don't know it all, obviously, no one does. But I hope that I can share some of my perspective and my knowledge, and it'll help in what are very uncertain times, very challenging times, but also very exciting times, because if enough of us come back to our awareness of our power to create, we can create an amazing world. We can create a golden age. And we're all in this together. We're all in this path together. So if you've enjoyed this content, please do give me a like, and if you want to continue to follow what I'm sharing, please do subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel grow. And thank you. Sending you all lots and lots of love, and I will see you in the next video.